Hello and welcome to week 2 of the Newman Show. Tonight I have with me guest co-host Mike.
How you doing, people?
And our guest tonight will be the one and only Billy Mira.
Howdy.
And the main topic tonight is going to be the music industry and how it's changed. Billy's an expert in that. He's been in it since
1986.
Yeah, till
85,
and counting.
Yeah,
so
and counting.
That was like with the Flintstones?
Yeah. Or Yabba Dabba Do.
he was in the beginning of rock and roll.
Exactly.
But just to recap last week, I want to give a thanks to Michelle Eskenazi, who came on and we discussed bail reform and how it affects you. If you haven't seen that show and you've lived in New York, you definitely want to go back and check that out because it definitely does affect you.
Yeah, a lot of things I didn't know about that I learned about. It's actually pretty scary.
Yeah, if you find out the crimes that they consider nonviolent, like assault of a firefighter, EMT, that's considered a nonviolent crime, and they just get an appearance ticket and they're on their way.
Here you go, take the ticket and walk. Go assault somebody else.
And
it's
jump and
crazy.
bail,
It is.
appearance ticket. So I'm
exactly.
sure they'll definitely come back. But yeah, it's a really serious issue, so that's why last week's show was more serious. For those of you tuning in for the first time, the Newman Show is a little bit different than Pin-Up Cool Cats and Comics. It's more topic-driven. And the topics are going to change from week to week. So
And no
one week it
holds
might
barred.
be something
No,
serious. Could be
no
something
unicorns
funny.
and rainbows.
It's not all unicorns and rainbows or Deadpool. But the topics are going to vary, a lot. And we're going to try to keep it that way. And the subject matter will dictate the type of show that it is. And the guest we'll always try to get an expert in the field. So we're talking bail reform. We're going to get someone who started Empire Bail Bonds.
Yes.
We're talking music. We're going to get someone who's got plenty of experience in the entertainment industry in general, not just music. So,
And we want to hear from you. We want your questions to come over the live feed, and we will try to get them in real time.
Yeah, last week we had an issue with
I'm having
with
a little
Facebook.
issue today, too.
The
Same
station
issue.
had an issue with Facebook, so I couldn't share it live right off the bat, so there wasn't much interaction, but lucky enough, Michelle didn't need any. She knew what she was doing. And
Yeah, she talked for the whole hour.
But we do like to be interactive. We do want to know what you guys think. And if you guys got a specific topic, we'd like to know about that too.
Yeah, no, if there's something you want to see or think that's super important or actually cool.
Between my connections, his connections, and everything else, we'll try to get an expert in that field. And if we can't, then we'll fake it till we make it.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, let's pay some bills. I want to get into the sponsors. So we're going to start with Frank Zambuto and Kayla Logistics, where your business is our priority. Our goal is to provide our customers with end-to-end logistics solutions worldwide. Contact Frank Zambuto regarding all of your international import and export needs. Frank also has domestic contracts with many of the largest coast-to-coast trucking companies in the USA for non-personal cargo. For Newman Show listeners, just mention the Newman Show and Frank will take 10% off your first domestic shipment in the USA. Frank Zambuto and K Logistics, where your business is our priority, and you can reach Frank direct at 347-536-3933. Email at frank@kaylogistics.com. Frank is great. He definitely knows everything that's going on in this confusing world of logistics and tariffs and everything like that. So definitely give him a call and he can help you out. Frank's a great guy. He also helped us land this wonderful product, which is Day 3 Botanicals. And Day 3 Botanicals is offering the Newman Show listeners 20% off all CBD products. Have it your way. Day 3 6-time full-spectrum CBD formula is available completely THC-free. It is the perfect high-performance CBD product for those subject to drug testing at work. Day 3 also offers their 6-time and regular-strength full-spectrum CBD oils with a trace amount of THC that is allowed by law in all 50 states by law under the nation's new 2018 Agricultural Farm Act. All Day 3 products come with a 30-day money-back satisfaction guarantee. Take a look at Day 3's new CBD pet formula that's available now, and they have a new massage oil that's coming soon. You can order the massage oil now to be one of the first for delivery. Visit day3botanicals.com, and if you're listening and not watching, 3 is spelled out THREE. And listeners, remember to use Newman20 code at checkout to receive 20% off your order. I'm looking now, we still have the old graphic up there. We'll try to get that changed by next week. The code is Newman20, not CoolCats10, because you want the 20% off. It's definitely worth it. So don't accept cheap foreign isolates. Day 3 products are full-spectrum hemp extracts that are organically grown in Colorado, non-GMO, and free from any chemical additives. Insist on Day 3 CBD for your health. We want to thank our new sponsor, Felon for Life Motorcycle Repair. Jason Martin, he helped me out the other day. I had a problem with my trickle charger. My battery wasn't charging.
Oh, you've been telling me that for a while.
He came by. It turned out it was, luckily enough, it was something simple that I probably should have noticed myself. It was just a blown fuse.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But had I not
I've blown
known,
a few of those in my day.
and had I got it towed in, or trail it in somewhere and had the repair, I'm sure it would have cost me hundreds of dollars. He came right to my house, fixed it, didn't charge me at all. He's a good friend. You can reach him at 516-996-2780.
You can also follow him on Facebook, correct?
Yes, skullfan33 at AOL.com. You can look him up on Facebook at Felon for Life. And he does, he specializes in Harleys, but he fixes all bikes. I mean, there's nothing, he does mechanical work, he does, if you want to throw some extras on there, you want to put some lights on, whatever you want to do, aftermarket products, Harley products, whatever you want, he can do it all. So give him a call, and he can definitely help you out. And just, again, a quick thanks to Michelle Eskenazi. Check her out at Empire Bail Bonds, Empire Media. You can find her on Facebook as well. And just a shout out to Fred Watkins from Voodoo Hound Graphic Art and Design for doing our graphic for the Newman show. And that pretty much covers the sponsors. I'm sorry to day 3. We'll definitely get that new thing up there next week. And anybody was watching before, so it indicates with Cyclone. He used to show right before ours. That's for all fight shows. Definitely check him out and the other shows on here.
Very knowledgeable, man.
And before I forget, this Wednesday, May 15th, I will be at the Greenwich Village Comedy Club performing. The following Wednesday, it will be at the Irish Pub. And then Friday, May 24th, Governor's Little Room. And George Gallo's headlining that show. I'm sure you know George.
Yeah, George. George's been around for a long time.
Get into the other stuff later. I'm trying to get something big for June 21st, but I'm sure you're tired of hearing me talking, so let's get to Billy. Billy,
Then you'll get tired of me hearing me talk.
Now, the reason why Billy's here is because I want to talk how the music industry's changed over the years. Back in the 80s, it was a very, very different scene. If you were a cover band, you basically weren't getting played anywhere. No club wanted you.
Well, that is very true up to a certain point.
Right.
In the 70s, believe it or not, in the 80s, cover bands ruled the earth. It's like
Yes.
the dinosaurs. And Twisted Sister is a great testament to that. Actually, Twisted Sister, Zebra, there were a lot of bands on the island that worked 5, 6, sometimes even 7 days a week. And they would go out, and this is where live bands really became live bands. This is where bands like Twisted Sister really became who they were in the club scene. And they played covers.
So they do covers and like throw in a original every
Slowly
now
but
and then?
surely but that's the way that they would work, because back in those days,
Take your jackets, get in your mic.
There we go. Hold on a second. Maybe speak it to the mic. But in those days, you worked because there were so many clubs. The
Right.
reason for that is the club scenes died, and then the dance scene kind of came in, and then it was like original rock.
It's all about disco.
Centric
and,
clubs,
Yeah.
Centric clubs came in, so it was like original music at that point.
Yeah.
But then there was a turn in like the 90s where it was like cover bands. And there was like these omnipop cover bands that were all over the place. And that became the trend for a while. And then original
It's
music
still
just
kind of
stopped.
the trend. I mean, you see a big place like Mulcahy's or whatever, half of their listings are tribute bands, I guess.
Well, I was gonna
Well,
say,
yeah, tribute bands are a little different.
I was going to say, the big thing that's really taken over the past 10 years is tribute acts. And I
Now,
love
how's that different from a cover band? Besides playing one or two bands specifically, they're still a cover band.
I'll tell you how. Believe it or not, the word cover band, in my opinion, has always gotten a bad name because everybody's, you're just playing other people's music. Not really. You are, but most bands develop their personality within those songs, and then they start writing their own songs.
Right.
When you're a cover band, you're basically covering, and there's an art to that. There really is an art form to copying a major artist and putting forth a product that people can watch and almost feel like they're watching that artist.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's where it ends. And I love, and it's almost that false sense of, not that they are there, I guess they're musicians that have practiced all these years and looking for a way to become successful, and they put together these tribute bands. And then when people come to see these bands, they will say, well, we sold out. I'm like,
You
no,
might have to strip a little bit.
The Eagles, sold out that particular venue.
Right.
But there are some exceptional, tribute acts out there that I could probably go see over and over. Almost Queen's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause a real
Get the
tribute
Let Out.
band
Great,
is not just playing
great.
a couple of tunes. They look the part, they
No,
sound
yes.
the part.
Yeah, that part I give it.
That-
Cover bands.
If you want to look
That's
at a
almost like
movie
being a
like
bum-
Rockstar, what Mark Wahlberg's original band was, they were a tribute band to that. So they looked exactly the same. They sounded the same. They had to wear the jacket.
That's a
they
true
did the
story. I mean,
concert
that's
stuff.
movie Rockstar is based off of Ripper Owens and the story that happened to him going into Judas Priest.
Right.
And somebody had brought, I guess, a tape to the guys in Priest and said, look, and they watched it. So that movie is based loosely off of a true story that really happened.
And a couple of bands have gotten their singers from a tribute band because they sounded very
The
similar
thing
to
that's
the
great
singer
about
in their
Rockstar
band
is
that they lost for one reason.
At
or another.
Rockstar, they make it look like they were in their heyday at that point. They were going around playing arenas, which couldn't really be any further from the truth. But, they were in a lull part of their career at that point. But still, it's
Right.
an amazing story to go from playing in a cover band. I think that was like one of the first times that ever happened, where somebody...
Because Journey was the same
there
story,
was
right?
There was, I think, one other guy who did something similar to that. Journey?
Yeah. When they lost Steve Perry, they went to a tribute band and they got the other guy because he sounded a lot like him.
Well, you talking about the other guy, the
Yeah.
guy that's in there now?
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's possible. I think.
I'm pretty sure it was a tribute
heard
band.
they saw him on YouTube or saw a video of him singing.
Right.
And at that point, Journey had been through a few singers. Steve Orgari, who I think is a New York guy, he was one of them. He was like one of the first replacements. And then Jeff Scott Soto, who I've spoken to many times about this, he actually was in Journey for a while also.
Right.
And they went through some guys, but then Neil Sean decided to make some changes and they move on and they found that other guy. But they also had a drummer, and I forget the guy's name, who also sang. So Journey had not only a singer who could sing that part, but a drummer who could also play the role also. But yeah, they sound great. It's they're still moving on. What?
Just a couple of shout outs. V said hi. Jeff said we had him on Massage Soil, so that's
Karen.
good. Jay said hi. Karen. Adam. Jacob said supporting tribute bands, retards, the great young musicians of today. And Will says, can I do karaoke in the Philippines and become Mick Jagger's replacement like the dude from Journey? So that's what it was? It was,
Yeah, he was like,
it
I
was
think it was
karaoke? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like a YouTube thing.
Yeah.
They saw him and were like, we got to get this guy. And the next thing you know, the guy's going from singing in the Philippines to singing with Journey. That just goes to show you, ladies and gentlemen, anything is possible.
It is, well, to go back to originally what it stated, like in the late 80s, early 90s, when we were going out and watching all the bands and you were out there performing, the way you really got started in a lot of the clubs were you had an hour. You had an hour to set up, play a few songs, break down, and get the next band up. And you'd have several bands throughout the night in places like
Sometimes
Hammerheads.
less than that, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it was 45 minutes.
In those days, like when we all started at a place called February's, which was in Elmont in Queens, on the border of Queens, over
Right.
there in Nassau County. And you'd get literally 6, 7 bands would be playing on the same night.
Yeah.
And everybody would get either a half hour, 45 minutes. You'd get 15 minutes to break down. The next band would, set up. They do sound really quick. There was no big sound check,
Yeah, and the sound was.
Anybody who walked in like a rock star, where's my sound check? Was like you were instantly.
And as you know
ostracized.
firsthand, the singer really didn't even matter at that point because you barely heard him.
Yeah, well, no.
Everything else was usually up so high.
Well, I got to tell you, February's probably had the biggest PA system for a small club I ever saw till this day. I mean, this place wasn't that big, but they had a concert-sized PA system in the place.
Right.
So, I mean, they could get it really loud. But that was the thing in those days, to be very loud, to sound, full and like it was in a stadium. That was the vibe back
Right, you
then.
walked out,
Right.
ears ringing for
You were,
3 days.
yeah, and if your
exactly.
ears weren't ringing and the soundman didn't blow you
Right,
out, you didn't get
something
your money's
was
worth that night. So yeah, they were great times. I mean, they really were. And that aspect is that's where you learned how to be a road artist and how to do it, you
Right.
know. And
So basically, some of the bands were doing maybe 3, 4 songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, smaller.
But I don't even know, a young band, you see them playing these clubs and these bars. You're like, where do they go to play anymore? I
Yeah.
don't even know where they get.
And that's the thing. That's what I was getting to. Now, nobody wants to hear original music. And I've seen it. I've seen it in clubs where, they may have 2, 3 bands in a night, and the first band is an original band, and people either don't go in like, this sucks, but without even listening to it. I mean, they don't even give them a chance. They want to hear songs they know. They want to hear the cover bands or the tribute bands.
Now,
and it's really tough now.
I will say
most
this.
of the venues closed, right? How
Yeah,
many
most of the venues closed. There is one thing that is happening, and I don't know how accurate I am with this, and it's actually a beautiful room. It's the new My Father's Place that's in
Yes,
Roslyn.
Roslyn.
Yes.
Yeah, reopened.
And from what I understand, the way that he's running it, Epi, I think that he's running it that he wants original artists. He's looking to find the next Billy Joel. You know, we had, the reason why we found so many of those great artists back then is because that's all it was cover bands and bands. Bands were the thing. You know, it wasn't a DJ driven business back then. So, you know, people saw local artists. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah, but
everybody's sewing their
Revolution also does a lot of original music.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they're around doing original
But, you
music.
know, like everyone...
But the scene is not, first of all...
There was a Right Track In, there was Hammerheads, there was February's. Those clubs were everywhere.
Right. The reason for that was drinking age. The drinking age in those days was 18 years old.
Yeah.
And that happened before 1985.
Right.
So that's where everybody went. They knew they could go drink, see a band. It was a whole different. They were all rock and roll heads in those days. You got to remember, we didn't have the internet back then.
Right,
So
I was
what'd
saying
you do?
YouTube changed everything.
YouTube, all
Yeah,
of that,
that was
changed
a big
everything.
part of
but
it.
I remember the thing that closed a lot of those clubs. You got to remember, it wasn't just Long Island. It was all the way up to Westchester also. And a lot of the things that changed everything on literally the drop of a dime was the drinking age that went from 18 to 19 in like 86 for a very brief period of time, and then went to 21.
Right.
Once it went to 21, that was it. Those clubs became, you know, they were
Right.
hard to fill at that point.
Because they were 18 to get in, 21 to drink.
People
Most people
going
were
to college,
drinking underage.
people
They were
right,
getting in trouble. They were getting tickets.
people
and
going
cops
to
had
college.
constantly
Yeah, people going to
fights.
college. That was the day where if you went out and you know you had a few drinks and you left Hammerheads in Levittown on Hempstead Turnpike and the cop pulled you over for whatever reason because you were swerving, he used to take your keys
Right, pull
and he
your
would
car
throw them.
over.
Yeah.
Pull your
Yeah.
car over. He'd have your mother come and get you, and he'd throw your keys onto the to the parkway. Now. You've basically just ruined any position you're going to get in law enforcement. You wrecked your life.
Right, anything later in life.
Right, exactly. So they knew they were 18-year-old kids, and that's the reason for the drinking age coming up. But that was a major reason for the
Right.
clubs taking a big hit.
Will had a question. I guess he's talking about February's. He said, isn't that where Jim Brewer got his big break?
Yes, it is.
So, yes, you're right.
His best friend, which I speak to all the time, and I haven't, we don't speak all the time, Jimmy and I, but I know the whole story. That's where I think the first place he did comedy, because he didn't grow up far from there either. Just like me, although Jim wasn't in a band, he was a comedian.
Right.
And Jim knew what he wanted to be at a very young age. And that's one of the first places that he went out and did it, was at February's.
Nice.
Wow.
So, yeah, good call, Will. And Mike Tanacoa checking in. He said that Dean Castronova was a journey drummer who sounded like Steve Perry. He's now in the Dead Daisies. So
Great drummer and great singer, by the way.
Now, I noticed now, too, like you just had friends come who you here to see. You paid your $5, you wanted to see the band. I hear now it's very common. Bands have to pay to play. They hide it in the fact that, oh, you got to sell so many tickets, so we'll sell you the tickets up front.
That
And then
LA,
they're kind of forced to go and sell the tickets to their friends or eat it.
That started in Los Angeles. It was called pay to play.
Yeah.
And that was why, that's really what stopped a lot of bands from going out there.
And as you know, as a starting band, most of these kids don't have money anyway. The equipment's not cheap, and now you got to pay just to get some stage time.
No, it's ridiculous.
It's not easy.
It was easy back in the day. What the club would do is they would give you a stack of tickets that were blank, and you would fill in the band name, and at the door, the guy at the door would take them,
Right.
and then he would put them aside. At the end of the night, the band would get paid per ticket
Right.
of how many people they brought in, whether it was $2, $3, I think it was like $3 or like $6, $7 to get in, if you could imagine that at the time. And you would get a certain percent, half of it. The club took half, you took half. And that's how
They
the
made their
bands
money
were
off the
played.
drinks.
And everybody
Yeah.
was fine. And the greatest thing was, in those days, the young bands could get in there, even on the dry night. So even when the drinking age went up, they started something called dry nights.
Right,
to
18
those
and
up.
men.
Yeah.
Right. But there was no
Dry nights a
alcohol.
lot of times were 16 and up.
But was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was
Which
no...
caused the other set of problems.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know, and the promoters changed their attitude too. Because to me, a promoter was someone who promotes the band. They are the ones who're supposed to help sell the tickets. And then all of a sudden, the promoters were taking money and going, "Here's the tickets, you sell them." Now they call themselves managers, but if you're a promoter, your job is to promote, not to make the band promote. They're hiring you to promote them.
Let's get something straight. Very few promoters out there who actually do that. What you're speaking of is shysters.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like the guys who do the bringer shows. You know.
Yeah, I know that. First.
You want to be a comedian? Yeah, you could be. You were funny.
You got 20
Listen,
friends?
You got 20 friends. Listen, here's a couple.
You got 5 minutes to 20 friends? I don't care if you're funny or not. Just come on in.
New comedians, they don't understand. You know, they do the bringer shows. They bring 20 people, and then they look at the guy like, do I make any money? And the guy goes, no, but you got to perform tonight.
You got exposure.
We got you on
got
this stage in this famous club, and
which is like nonsense. In the beginning, this is the little lie that any entertainers fed, and that's what they do. To start out.
But what's good, to speak to that, there are some good guys out there. There are some good comics that became promoters and take care of comics. They get them in big clubs. You might have to bring some people, but you're getting paid, or because again, if it's tough if nobody said comedy changed too. You used to perform for the manager or the owner of the club or whatever. If you were funny, they sold the seats because they said we had the best talent around, and you knew it. Now they're businessmen. Like, how do we make money? Okay, you bring in 20 people, you bring in 20 people, you bring in 20 people, and we'll just fill the place. We don't care what's going on.
It's great because look, it's like a double-sided sword. It's how the clubs stay full. It's how aspiring comedians get to go out and perform. It's like a necessary evil, if you will. But it's a little, the promoter. A promoter is a guy who takes a show, puts it together, he promotes the hell out of it, however he does it, and then he pays each individual performer that's on the show,
right?
And then takes whatever cut for all the hard work that he put into
right.
it. You know what I mean? It's easy to take it and go, let me see, I'm going to make 300 tickets. Listen, you got 20 friends, you do it, you do it, you do it, you do it, you do it. That's not really a promoter. That's a ticket dispenser.
Yeah.
That's a coordinator. A coordinator and promoter are two different things. Promoter is somebody who literally takes the event from soup to nuts and promotes it. Whether they themselves, this thing is killing me, whether they have strong social networking, they have something in place where they have a bunch of friends, likes, whatever it is, that system that they use, which is a whole different animal.
Yeah, because comedy, music, everything changed also. Like you said, from internet, it started really with MySpace. Dane Cook was the first one to really utilize that. Because whether you were a band or you were a comic, you had to start on one coast, work your way out, playing all the dives out to the other coast, come back the other way, and work all the way back. Now you just got yourself on the internet. He used MySpace. He went to a club. He was already selling out. Because they already knew him. They already saw his act.
Right.
Bands, too, they were putting themselves on MySpace. They were putting themselves on YouTube.
That was the first one you can have music in your background.
Yeah.
So you put out an original, guy goes, hey, that sounds great.
Whereas when you were in Whiskey Road, you had to play. You had to play everywhere to get heard.
And then what you tried to do?
And I know it wasn't easy for you.
You tried to sell your CD after the show. Right? That was the way to do it. Some good-looking girl sitting there going up to people, $10, buy the CD, you can listen to these guys.
Yeah, no. It was so hard to gain an audience back then.
Yeah, that's true. You had to give out the CDs.
It really was. It was
it was. It's not easy.
You had to give out the CDs.
And who wanted to listen? Half the people took it and looked, okay.
Right.
The first thing was, it was always like, we're going to make flyers. If you ever watch even if you watch Rockstar. And if you watch everybody was the flyer thing. So it was cheap to rip up, 300-400 flyers, and you'd put them out all over.
Dude, I gotta tell you, I still don't look at shit put in my windshield though. It's kind of annoying. I'm getting in my car, I'm ready to leave. I'm like,
who does that? Like, I have never gone, let me look at this and see what this is all about. Like,
Tesla. I'm gonna go see these guys.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes I look at it just like I'm never going to see that. Now I know. Okay.
Exactly. Whiskey who?
Yeah. The thing, but it's a repetitive thing. Believe it or not, it's a repetitive thing that if you see something over and over again, then all of a sudden it's like radio ads. Everybody thinks they're gonna just buy a radio promotion on the radio, and they're gonna all of a sudden get business. Yeah. It's repetitive.
Well, look how many people hate Cars for Kids, but I bet you every single one of us can sing that song, can't you?
1-800-7
Exactly, dude. Come on.
My son starts thinking when he's
never donated a car in my life, but if I do, guess who I'm calling?
It's a constant growing business
ingrained
too.
in my head.
Right. Because Facebook was the way to go for a while, and now that's even tough to promote because of new algorithms and things may not show up. I know I promote my shows
Facebook's whole thing used to be it's
and people
free.
are like, oh, you should put it up on Facebook.
Everything was free on Facebook. No longer. Now you got to have a sponsored page. You can't even have a Billy Mira page without it being an artist page.
Yeah.
If they find it, they shut it down.
Yeah, I have one for the band and then one for my personal
Correct.
that I have.
Right.
I don't even have one for the public figure. It's just me.
Right.
You know.
Hi, Susan, and thanks,
Hey,
Mike.
Susan.
He said he remembers Dennis, the experienced Newman, the lead singer of Long Island cover band Stimulus. He could wail. And then he said you couldn't, you would even leave Jones Beach concert with tons of things on your windshield. Yeah, because that was the only way people put themselves out there.
Yeah.
And again, it's really, it's not the way anymore. You just got to get out there. But I want you to specifically say, because you made it. You were there with Whiskey Road. You did all the dives. You got yourself up there.
Really
You were headlining.
It was us, Motley Crue.
But you were headlining shows on Long Island, which then again you were getting your hour and a half instead of the
we had our rock star
and you got
treatment.
signed.
We had our rock star treatment, did all that stuff. It was great, But even with that, it's kind of like it's something to look back on and say, we did that. But for me, it's been a bittersweet always. Experience because it was something that I became very close friends with a lot of people in the industry who
Some
went on
contacts you still have today.
I talk to all the time. These are my dear friends, and I speak to them about it all the time, and I say, it's crazy. I'm like, I don't ever want to hear any complaining from you. I said, you got your 15 minutes of gold in the music history. I said it's hard because we were there and we got notoriety. We got to a certain level of a point, but just not that point.
It's tough because I was actually having this discussion last night of what does it take to cross over and make it. And you could see a band
It's
that
luck.
blows.
Luck.
It's not just luck. Luck is part of it, but it's a whole combination of things. It's being right place, right time, which is luck. It's having the skill. Being what's being looked for at the moment, because in my opinion, you guys were probably 5 years too late.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
And only 5 years.
I'm going to tell you what
you
just
hit 5 years earlier, you would be huge.
I'm going to tell you something that just happened recently. So this record company actually just contacted me, believe it or not, to reissue. And I swear to God, this just happened, just recently. And I'm laughing at the guy, and I'm calling the other guys up and going, do you believe this? I'm like, do you believe that this is happening? This was like 20 years ago. They're like, we'd like to reissue this stuff. We think the stuff is amazing. How did this stuff not take off back? You go through the whole story because they've heard of me through naturally everybody else was talking about me. And then they go and they said, we did some research. We listened to your old stuff. We're like, why didn't this stuff ever take off? Like, what happened? And like you just said,
but when you got there, it was crunch time.
It was day late, dollar short.
Yeah.
I'm like, how about the whole album? So they're like, well, what are the rights of this? Where are the mechanics? Because we're not interested in re-recording. We like to reissue, which is a completely different thing of something, but it has to be genuine from the time that it was recorded, not that you went in now and re-recorded a song, which I completely agree. Well, yeah, I kind of agree with, because I wrote actually a treatment for a movie years ago that had the same idea, and it was how many bands are out there that could have been famous that never made it. I could literally name 3 besides myself right off the top of my head, of guys that actually went on to play with other major artists, but they had these bands that they started with that were excellent. That's how they got to those next levels. Same thing with me. I mean, how did I get to those next levels? It's being in that band that, grew and I somehow evolved into something else. But there's a lot of guys out there who had a band that for whatever reason just didn't make it. Maybe somebody got somebody pregnant, they had to go get a real job, this guy drops out, nobody wants to do it anymore. So there's a lot of those out there, and I wrote a movie. What if something was put out? I wrote this whole story, and it was based off of the key of the movie was that you had to have a song that had to be recorded 30 years ago. It wasn't something you could record now.
Right.
And what if somebody took a demo tape, just accidentally put it out on YouTube, and it became the biggest thing to find out that those guys don't even exist anymore. And that was the whole premise of it. So when this company called me, and they told me that was the premise of their company, and I told them the treatment of this film that I wrote back when I was working with Brewer. Actually, me and Brewer was an idea that we had been working on 15 years ago. And we were laughing about it, and I said, I can't believe you guys are like 10 years too late with this whole idea. I said, but I love the idea. Even if the demo didn't come out as not the greatest quality, we can remaster it. Remastering is different than remixing or re-recording. It's a different process. And I said, and put it out there. So I love it. So that could happen very shortly.
Who's
That'd
that?
be cool.
AARP?
But things do come around.
Records.
What's old is new again, and you do see the recycling of
It is.
music and whatever.
So without giving it away yet, because nothing's been signed or finalized yet, I did go back and listen to some of the major artists that are on there, and I go listen back to it. Everything's been exactly what I said to the guy. He says, "You sound like everybody else." He goes, "With the remastering," I said, that's what it is. You have to remaster now because the technology is completely different." And I go back and I listen to some of this stuff, and I just close my eyes and I go, it's amazing to hear that sound, and I get it. You cannot duplicate. You can, but there's something about the sound of something that was recorded 30 years ago, as opposed to putting it on the digital
there's
now.
tape delays for guitar. I play guitar. That go for the actual tape because they want that sound. That go for thousands and thousands of dollars. And digital just doesn't do it.
Well,
it's not the same.
It's also the recordings. There's a difference between analog recording. Huge.
Yeah.
When we recorded our album, we did it on an Even Studer. A Neve board was $1 million. Was literally worth $1 million, and the Studer was the reel-to-reels that they were on, and the tapes were this thick. So the information that they held, and tape, almost has like a natural compression to it. Digital is really super clear quality, and it's clean and all that stuff. It just doesn't hold the same amount of information.
See, a lot of it has to do with the format that you're listening on, because when you were at home, you had the big stereo system. Even if you were out, you had the boom box and stuff like that. Then it went down to a Walkman. Then it went down to these overly compressed music players that you couldn't even hear the quality on if you wanted to. So they started just compressing
that's MP3.
things.
See, what an MP3 is
they compressed
wave.
it more and more and more, that if you played it on a good system, it sounded like shit.
Yeah.
Even a band like Rush, who was known for their quality of music, their latest album, they're old true fans that were still playing it on the KRKs at home. We're calling them up and complaining.
You know who did that? You know who did a great job in doing that was David Grohl. David Grohl went out and actually recorded everything on analog and transferred to digital to get that thick brown, what they kind of call the brown sound. It's like sound, that, Eddie Van Halen was famous for having that, that term. But it's that sound, it's that full tube sound. That's the reason why those AC/DC albums, I mean, I can go on and on. ELO, AC/DC, those out, as AC/DC, as simple as they were, so if you put that album on now, they just sound so thick. It's because how fast those tapes were going, how much information and just how much, and then compression, but not compression of just like taking just minimalizing the quality. It's just compressing and cleaning up the sound. And it's just, you can't duplicate those sounds.
I think
that's why everything now, just not to cut, sounds homogenized. It just sounds like, it's hard to decipher which band is what because they all have that Pro Tools sound. I don't know. It's just a different thing now.
I think Pink Floyd was way ahead of their time. You listen to a recording on any Pink Floyd
album. To that. First of all, that stands up to that. I
think they were ahead because they didn't even have the equipment to listen to it as good as it was once the real speakers and stuff came out.
They did. Actually, believe it or not.
Did they?
Tube amps, tube amplifiers, and turntables. Vinyl. Vinyl holds more information than digital. You ask any real DJ what they would rather mix on.
Vinyl is definitely better.
They will tell.
It's just that you hear the scratch of the needle, and that's why people hate it.
It has to be super clean.
The sound quality on that is one of the best you can get.
You can push. Yeah, you can push.
Everybody wants the CDs and CD quality compared to an actual record quality.
Yeah, because the reason why is because digital is actually like a light bulb. It's sampled sounds.
Right.
It's all that makes one sound, whereas analog is just holding more information. There's no getting around it.
More stimulus shout-outs, Louis Prima.
Louis Prima and Stimulus.
Nowadays, your big stereo system is your Amazon Alexa speaker. You're right. It's a one-speaker system or these little dinky headphones you're putting in. I mean, some people have the Beats or quality headphones.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are just listening to compressed MP3s on little crappy headphones or
and then
out of their phone, which is horrible quality. So they don't care how it's recorded.
Yeah, and there is something to say for the quality that you're like. I just bought the Bose Buds, which I use, and they're great, but they're never going to be as good as listening to it on an analog system, a turntable system, with a tube amplifier, that's just EQ'd perfectly, it's.
There's a couple of DJ shows on here, and they come in with the records. I mean, they're old school. That's what they do because, like you said, a real quality DJ that respects the music is going to come in with a record.
Yeah.
Not the laptop and just play and let it record it, play itself.
But I will say, with that said, the digital age allowed for editing, the cost of tape. It allowed, it opened up the amount of tools that you had at your fingertips to simplify things. So you're sacrificing a little bit of sound as opposed to having, the cost just go through the
Yeah,
roof.
I mean, right now on an iPad, you could use Rock Band and record a.
I gotta be honest. I love my Mac. I can do video on that. I take 4K video for my shows. I cut it down if I want to watch something. Everything I literally do on my Mac. It's a television studio. It's a recording studio. I do a lot of voiceover work. I do a lot of that stuff. I still do song parodies that I'll send to the stations that they call me up and they can record this. And I do it right at my house. I don't have to run into a studio anymore.
And it's much cheaper, like you said, just to hook up that Mac and do it, than go to a professional studio and buy tens of or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I
worth of equipment
recorded
to
a
get
song.
similar
My
thing.
friend was in San Diego and recorded a song that came out so good. I couldn't even believe it. And he mixed it. I couldn't believe how good it sounded. I recorded it I tell people I recorded it on my kitchen table.
Your old partner Larry just tuned in.
Oh, Larry.
Blue Collar
Larry?
Yeah.
What's going on, Larry? What's happening? He'll tell you the story. Is there a phone number to call in? You should have Larry call in. He'll tell you the Brewers story. I think he was there.
Yeah.
I think Larry was there at Brewers' first gig, yeah.
Yeah, we really haven't done phone calls here, but I guess there probably is a way. Jeff said now tonight he's going to break out his 45s and put it on the turntable. My digital allowed for the transportation of information to be easier instead of mailing tapes to another studio. Just put it on that now, which is definitely true.
I'll tell you what, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Transferring information back and forth immediately. That's
Yeah.
where MP3s are great. Dropbox with waveform if you want it to sound a little fuller. But I got to be honest, even to the normal ear, you're not going to hear the difference.
Right.
So it's immediate transfer of information back and forth whenever you want to record something. Hey, record this for me, send it back to me. I got a recording of something. It's not like let me go home and get the tape. That was a big thing.
And
I
you're
got
talking
it on
seconds.
tape somewhere. I got to go find it in the back of my car. Hold on a minute, come in. And then every.
You're talking
No.
seconds as opposed to hours.
You could literally, right. You
really
come
right.
home now, you transfer it to your hard drive, it's there. It's instantly available to you. Not to mention, now everything is in the cloud, which is awesome. So if you have Dropbox,
Right.
you have all of your files and everything. I know I have music files that I use just for certain things, that if I'm in a studio in, the Philippines, I can pull it up, and there it is, right at my immediate access.
And it's amazing. Yeah, digital music, like you said, you put out an album, I could download it today. The day it releases.
Yeah.
You say it releases at 9 o'clock, 9:01 I have it. But I kind of miss the Tower Records days. The days of waiting for your favorite bands.
Yeah, Larry, if you want to call up, 516-945-9099.
9099.
Blue collar, call in.
But remember those days? Like you were waiting to get, I'm sure you were waiting to get the latest Rat. And so you were at Tower Records, first in line, you and then 10,000 girls.
Yeah.
But those that was kind of
Tower was pretty cool. I remember, that was a big thing. I remember walking in and seeing my record at Tower, which was cool.
Yes, I definitely remember seeing it there
for the 5 minutes that it was there.
Yeah.
But that was something that's cool. You can't. It doesn't mean anything anymore. It's not. It's not. There's no record store to walk into.
Yeah,
That was
I
like
was
a
just
big
gonna
thing
say,
because everything is in the cloud on. Like he's saying, you instantly download it, but you'd walk in.
There are a couple of small
Yes.
music stores left, but it's true, most of them are gone.
Yeah.
There was some fun going through and flicking
No,
through.
it was,
this
dude.
cover. Your brother.
Oh, my
used
God,
to-
yeah.
Oh, I like this art. I'm going to buy this. I like that band
He
name.
would
I'm going
buy
to buy this.
something off of cover art.
Yeah.
I've never, and then we take it home and it would sound just as shitty as the
It was-
cover art it was.
So
But,
it was hit or miss, usually
that
hits,
was-
but some of the bands
I
were pretty
remember
good.
walking in and speaking of which, there was an import section. So you'd have the regular, and then you'd look at like the import section, and you'd see all this stuff, and there was like the metal imports, and you'd look at it, and you go, Thor. Let me look at this guy on the front cover, and it would just sound like crap when you put it in. But that not having the instant access to music was kind of like a blessing and a weird thing back in those days. You know that WLIR was actually instrumental in structuring music and bringing music from overseas and breaking it here first.
Yes,
And then
yeah, they were there.
MTV, not a lot of people know this, followed the trend of WLIR. That's
Okay.
92.7, which at the time was on Long Island. They were watching, and they used to bring those imports over from England and go to the airport, pick them up, and bring them and play them here first.
Yeah, guys like
Now, if
Thomas Dolby.
I mean,
right?
yeah, all
Like
sorts
weird.
of crazy.
When we first heard it, we were like, "What is that?"
If you
That's
ever
kind of cool.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
At first, you're like,
exactly.
"What the hell was
Was that Science Guy? Science.
Yeah, blinded me with
Yeah,
science.
so he blinded me with science.
And the videos were huge, which don't matter anymore.
Right. So whatever was taken off on LIR, MTV was playing. MTV was watching. If you listen to U2, they always give credit to WLIR and Duran Duran and countless other bands that watched because they used to go and get these imports overseas, bring them over, start playing, and then MTV would start playing them.
Yeah.
It's funny, just again, another conversation that was happening yesterday. Jen took a picture, our friend Jen, where she was standing on the hood of a car. So two people immediately went to, hey, can you do the split like Tony Katane? They still remember the Whitesnake video. I mean, the videos made a huge difference in if you were going to break.
Dude,
too, because
how old, every 16-year-old boy remembers that video.
right, but that was the
I
thing.
remember
You would
wearing
watch
it
it
with no
through,
pants on.
and maybe you like the song, so you listen to it. But then you're like, oh, there's a bunch of hot chicks in this video. Watch it, and then
Right.
again, the repetition over and over.
Right.
Oh, I like Rat now. I like Poison now because I get to watch Cinderella. They always have these hot chicks in the videos. I'm going to watch
Motley
them.
Crue. I mean,
now I'm going to
I
buy
don't
it.
even
Now I'm
know
going to go to their
half the songs.
concert. Now I'm going to do whatever because of the video.
Right.
Look, Michael Jackson broke records from his Thriller video. That was basically a movie.
Oh my God! I remember racing home.
People
to
still
be
talk
home
about
by
that.
midnight on that Halloween. That first
Yeah.
Halloween it broke.
Yeah, I know.
And what was it, half hour or something like that,
eating
the original
BB
one?
bats and
They were
everything else,
called
looking for
world
razor blades in my
premiere
candy.
videos at
Yeah.
5 o'clock
Yeah.
on, October
There's
31st.
There's
the
nothing like
Ozzy
that.
Osbourne album.
No, does
Yeah, Bark at the
anybody even
Moon.
play? Like, you got to watch what they call MTV Classics to even see a video anymore.
I mean, some people still put videos out, but you have to look for them, or you got to go on YouTube and actually watch it.
Well,
which
you know what
most
it
people
is.
don't. It's
You know
just in
what's
the
what
background.
stopped that. We didn't have we didn't have that quick access of of YouTube. And think about it. If you wanted to watch it, you just go to YouTube. You pick it up. It's there in 2 seconds. If you heard at the top of the hour on MTV that they were going to be playing these 3 songs, you waited through everything else just to hear if you wanted to hear one of those songs. If I heard that they were playing Ozzy Osbourne at the top of the hour, I was there all hour.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
waiting to record it. They did the play and record button.
And that's
at
if
the
you
same
had a
time.
VCR. I remember
Right.
back then when VCRs were like it was like
Right, expensive,
oh
$800,
my
$900. Yeah,
Yeah.
no-
Yeah.
who had
My
those?
friend's father had a double VCR in his house.
Wow.
We thought that was like the coolest thing, I had ever seen. Meanwhile, he probably
Sure.
paid the price of a car for these.
He's probably
Yeah,
bootlegging them
Yeah,
too.
he was pirating.
It was boot.
He
Rent
was
some
pirating
copy
it.
that.
This guy was way ahead of his time. That's a whole nother story, but yeah.
But again, because before we run out of time, I want to make sure you went around full circle. Well, at least when I met you, your first forte into entertainment was the singer of a band. You've hit everything: radio, comedy, everything else, and now you're back in it again. Not that you ever completely went away from singing, but now you're in Billy Mira and the Hitmen,
But yeah,
which are
you're-
really taking off on Long Island. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
but you
hearing
totally
ads.
switched
really
gears. I mean, he went from a hard rock, heavy metal guy to a crooner, basically. Yes?
Yeah. And I took everything that I ever did and created a character out of it, and basically created Billy Mira from Billy Mira and the Hitmen, which is, playing every style of music, but doing comedy, doing impressions. And the new show I'm just really proud of. But what I am really proud of is the fact that, you talk about me starting as a heavy metal singer, rock singer, I do things. I do like Goodbye to Romance from Ozzy in my show.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah, and people have no idea what song I'm singing.
Right.
And they,
No,
and
right,
they
they
ask
have
me.
no-
I have these old because I'm every Thursday night I have a residency, at the Polo Lounge in Westbury Manor.
A lot of fun.
When
by the
I'm
way.
off on a
It's
Thursday, we
great,
definitely got to go
great
check 'em
evening
out.
with Billy. It's drinks a good mellow place.
Yeah, it's
A
cool.
lot of fun.
And I'll play it, and these, I've got an older crowd there sometimes, a sophisticated crowd, and they come to me.
I remember
"What
cracking
was
up. I
that?"
couldn't believe you were singing it in that style, and I was like, "This is actually cool."
I did it party.
Ozzy be yelling at
I did a
Sharon.
country club not too long ago, and the whole crowd was singing it, and that lighters were up.
Nice.
I just did a theater with a whole theater. I mean, 100. I couldn't believe it, and I'm going, I said goodbye, and but if you hear it with a piano, it sounds.
Yeah.
You know, they
Totally
have no
different
Oh,
song
you
now.
should give him a shout too. Your piano, it's phenomenal.
Oh, yeah,
His entire band is
No,
phenomenal.
but on the Thursday nights at the Polo
Me
Lounge.
and Benny, Benny Pinalba.
Yeah. Oh,
Listen,
my
I
God.
went and I've seen him a
Yeah.
few times, and from a wasn't Fridays, but it was a place like that you were at, and I've seen you in the Smithville Center.
and I got to
very
tell you,
different shows.
and I'm
but
also proud of the fact.
you are very picky about who you let play with you.
Well, I always
And it
have
shows.
been. Most of the guys that have played with me, they also play with others. Since playing with me, they'll play with a lot of major acts. I don't want to name some names, but somebody's calling.
Hey, you're on live on the Newman Show. Who's this?
Yeah, this is Blue Collar Larry here.
Hey, what's up, Larry? You finally called in. Blue collar.
We were all looking
How come
around
you-
at first. It was like,
How come I'm not seeing what the hell's going on?
Because you got your radio up.
Yeah,
We can hear it in the background.
yeah, slight delay.
yeah. It's definitely a
Blue
long
collar
delay.
Larry, but just for everybody listening outside, Larry is Larry Schneidmuller. We call him Blue Collar Larry. Was on the Brewer Unleashed show on Sirius Satellite Radio, Channel 104, and he was a co-host with Brewer, and we became best friends ever since. We've been friends for almost 20 years now. But so listen to Larry. Didn't you learn anything working at Sirius?
You should know about this.
We can hear it in the background.
I don't even think he can hear us at this point.
Yeah,
Wow.
just listen through the phone. Do you hear us?
Yeah, I'm shutting my
There you
phone
go.
off.
Actually, I got to thank Larry too, because it was Billy and Larry that got me started in radio.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Remember when we used to do the show, Larry?
Yo. Now wait a second now. Now you're gonna love this.
What?
What's up, Ma?
I'm wondering where I can put my car.
You know you could put your car right back in Florida. Now get out of here.
That's what I gotta do.
That's Larry. That's Blue Collar.
Boys, I gotta call you back.
Well, yeah, right. Larry Collar's got
Man,
problems.
some other
He's
day
got
here,
issues
and I
going
gotta
on.
go.
He also had a
I'll call you
band
back
at that
in 5
time too.
Yeah, he had a band called 99 to Starve, I think was the name of the act. And great disc, man. If you ever listen to that, he put out a great, I'll tell you, man, he put out an awesome disc. He was on Sirius. He had a couple of really good cuts there. Yeah, he had a good run there too. I think him and Brewer are still he's doing some stuff with Jimmy now also.
Right.
All right, now before he calls back, let's get back to you. How did you actually go from, a heavy metal hair band type of, glam rock, whatever they wanted to call it? You touched all of those, right? To go to a more big band crooner style, like what
It
made
was
you
when I was in
say-
Vegas I had an epiphany. When I was in Vegas. I was going back and forth from the television studio.
I had a Tiffany.
Fox.
in Vegas.
I had a few Tiffany's, you know what I mean? I don't know about a Tiffany. Anyway, so I used to look at the casinos, and I used to love downtown Las Vegas, and I used to say, man, I'd really love to put together a show, a real Vegas-style show, and I started getting the itch to sing. I slowly started singing out there, and I started doing stand-up. But it really wasn't something that I had, the show was taking up a lot of my time. And slowly I started getting back into it. And that's when I started writing the treatment for the idea for this show. And I started doing music. And that was when I also started singing with Jake. And that's how that whole thing started. But then
Basically, you got an itch in Vegas. No, not that type.
I got caught an itch from something in Vegas.
But like you wanted to go back to like
My roots.
The-
And,
right,
and I
old
said, what if I
school,
could do a variety show, and I could do my own, comedy and this, and I said, I bet I could.
like a Dean Martin,
Yeah,
Sammy Davis
but I don't want to
Jr.
cover it. Going back to cover bands, one of the things I always pride myself on, and I always talk about, is that I'm not a cover band. I'm a cover. Yes, but they were all cover bands.
Right.
They're technically all cover. Every one
Frank
of those guys.
Sinatra.
They're all
Yeah.
cover bands.
Right.
Michael Bublé is a cover band guy. There's a difference between. That's why I love Billy Joel. I'm a huge Billy Joel, Elton John fan. Because those guys are musical geniuses. There's a big difference who wrote masterpieces, and they're great performers. That's why when Elton John was able to take being a great performer and with this they're iconic. They're one in not in a million, they're one in a bazillion. I am a performer who's written a couple of cool songs. I'm not a musical genius.
Right.
but I am a performing,
Right.
brilliant performer. That's what I do really well. And that's kind of, how I combine this show and put it together. And
I know Dean Martin wrote a couple of songs, but I don't think Frank wrote anything himself, did he?
no, he had writers, and even.
But you can't take away. I mean, Sinatra's iconic.
A lot of
No,
people
yeah.
don't know this. Most of the music that's out there today that you're listening to on the radio is written
By Taylor
a
Swift.
yeah.
It is.
It's written by. It's
Well, you
written
had
by
Lieber and
5 writers.
Stoller, you had Loggins and Messina, you had Neil Diamond wrote a lot of stuff for a lot of
Look
people.
Look at the bands that were
Prince.
huge. Look at the bands that were huge back in the early '80s. You had Hall & Oates, you had Prince, you had Madonna, you had Duran Duran, you had all of these. But then there was like Billy Joel was in that whole crew. You had Billy Idol. Billy Idol was right with him and Steve Stevens. They were writing and producing that stuff.
Right.
Stray Cats. Think about the Stray Cats to come out. That was so. That's why all of those bands weren't homogenous. They didn't. They all had their own unique. Boy George. I mean, you can say what you want. Say what you want. Those
He
are great
had a lot of
albums.
hits.
You know what?
Really did.
Now you're seeing a lot of that come out now. I don't know if
George
you guys,
Michael.
If you guys follow country music at all these writers now are stepping in front of the mic. It's like your Stapletons and all them. They were all behind the scenes guys. They wrote all the music. When you would see, who's that guy, Faith Hill and his husband, Tim McGraw. You'd see he wrote very few of his songs. It was all written by all these other guys who are now, stepping in front of, Luke Combs and all these guys stepping in front of the mic themselves. And if you look at them, they don't look the part. A little overweight, just, big hairy guys, whatever. Not the groomed, fit Tim McGraw. But it's all about the music now and their voices that's really taken off. Where it used to be, it used to have the best popper, the best video of that.
Run Around.
Yeah, Run Around, where they'd
I
be
was
in the
just
back.
going to mention that,
You
yeah.
know, the curtain, and they had like a Billy Mira in front. Right?
They had
And
this
the
whole
curtain
band in front
fell,
there
right?
playing and singing
Remember that
behind the
video?
stage.
Because
Right.
him and his band were not,
They didn't have the
pretty.
look.
Right. But they
right.
had like these guys who actually looked more like, the Blind Melon type band at that time.
The
Right,
biggest
right.
example of that was Milli Vanilli.
Yeah.
They had
Right.
two models, put them out there to dance and,
Right.
and lip sync.
Right.
But that went on a lot more than people realize.
Yes.
That went on. There's also, how that all started. There's something called ghost singers. They used to call them ghost singers. And they did it with a lot of major artists, and a lot of major artists, if they're listening, they know exactly what I'm talking about.
They're all
They
talking
would-
right now.
They're, yeah.
Billy's gonna drop
don't mention my
names.
name.
Well, a ghost singer is not what you probably think it is. A ghost
I
singer-
know they're usually a singer on stage as a dancer or some other performer
No,
with
no.
it. No?
No, what they are is they would go in and actually sing the tracks for the albums before they were recorded.
Okay.
Don Dokken was classic for doing that with Scorpions.
Oh, dude, come on! But there's studio musicians who've been doing that for years.
Yeah, but what they would do is
hired guns, as they call them.
So what they
come
would
in
do
and
is they
play.
would do it so that the singers, they did it for a lot of, I'm throwing names out there, but they did it for artists so that they could hear it and just spit it back out really
Right.
fast, and they could record in the studio.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. That's what that call was. So,
Any live shows.
Billy
yeah,
Mira
what
and the
do you got
Hitmen,
coming
how
up?
can they find you real quick?
They're on my Facebook page, Billy Mira and the Hitmen on Facebook. Just go like the page. My dates are on there. Go get my personal page, Billy Mira, and come see me on Thursday nights. Not this Thursday night, but every Thursday night at the Polo Lounge inside of Westbury Manor. And I have all my theater shows coming up. They're just coming in posting now. I'll be at Penny Saver Amphitheater July 4th. I'll be this.
Are you playing the Jones Beach Band show this year?
No, I don't know if we're going to do that this year.
But yeah, thanks for tuning into the Newman Show. Please like and share our page. Please support our sponsors and tune in next week. We'll
Have
see
a
you
good
later.
night.